Well, the world is going in a direction, and then the man has to solve the greatest problem. He's been solving all the issues of nature, so that what are we going to do, and let's create this and let's create that, which has built our entire structure, and society is built on man's genius to solve problems, to solve the problem of death. And now the next problem also is like, well, what's the real issue? So we haven't changed anything. In the same vein, we went from Adam the moron to Adam the one who creates all these solutions through his intellect that gives rise to societies and worlds. He's the builder of it. What's the engine? It's not him. He's the one who builds it, if you understand the nuance. And then through that process, he's like, well, it's not solving the issue. So perhaps through that chaos, or through that Luciferian journey, or through that portal, there comes the possibility of the actual awakening of man. The penis man. Which needs to like, but how do we actually solve the issue? So now that person went on a journey, learned how to build, use his intellect, create endlessly, become a slave, the highest slave that doesn't even know he's a slave, then witness. Then as he's awakening, start to realize that his woman is not even his woman, it's belonging to another power, and what's that power, and discover the serpent power, and that intelligent that power. So now the man is starting to discover everything how creation is actually working. And through that process, as he starts to understand the creation, starts to say, well, what's this? How do we solve that issue? Which means there must be a way to achieve peace, which means there must be something greater than that. And where is it, and how do I have access to it if I want to really solve the problem? Great! And let us pretend now for 2 seconds that this fucker Adam awakens and finds the solution. And then takes his bitch back. And then they go back to the so-called garden. It will never be the same garden. It will be a garden full of spectacles. But it's no longer a kid. He's not anymore a child. He's no longer an idiot. He's now become a conscious co-creator of God's plan. He actually understands God's will. Well, that's all possible through the journey that he's undertaken through the woman. So that's why I would say the woman is the teacher of the man. Men teach men, but women are the real teachers of the men, because she's the one who's showing you that you're an incompetent piece of shit. You're not a god. You're not a man. When a woman says you're not a man, what she's not your average slut on Instagram. No, I'm saying at the womb level, when she's saying you're not a man, she's saying you're not God. I'm looking for God. You're not God. God up. So I've taken the analogy and we pushed it further. I'm like, well, isn't that what's happening? Well, it's happening to some of us. Not most of you will remain jiggas and are very happy in your jigga state. But some of us are not happy in that jigga state. I'm not happy in the jigga state at all. I hated it. It's fun for 5 minutes until you realize that it's miserable and you're full of suffering, and no matter how good you are, you're never good enough. And on top of that, you're never able to satisfy her. On top of that. And she doesn't even care that you satisfy her really. She's using you to fuel the ambition of another power, which is causing the suffering of everyone, starting with you, the jigga, and her, the puta. Everybody's in pain. And now you think you're the master solver of problems, and you can't figure shit out for yourself. So now that's your opportunity. So that's how I've taken it. I'm like, well, that's an opportunity, isn't it? Not to be like a god with a small g, meaning I can jump higher than a bird, and I can build buildings and fly with Elon to fucking Mars. That's small God. I'm talking about God now develop actual God with a capital G, which means you're a servant of that power that goes through you, where you comprehend the entire scope of the game, and you're able to hold it down and ground that power and shift the scale. That's a whole other level of the game. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Not you, them.